Can I watch the Chiefs game on the Sabbath? What does it look like for Sabbath rest? Your Sabbath and your discipline are closely aligned. Some people are they're going to the gym to get away from work. It's a restful thing, right? How would you tell them to kind of adjust that or keep it the same, or how do they make that God honoring and a biblical way make that rest more efficient for them? All right, well, can I watch the Chiefs game on the Sabbath? That's the question I'm kind of tackling today. What does it look like for Sabbath rest? And what does it look like for us to rest in a healthy way and in a biblical way? We talked about rest on Sunday, so today we're going to tackle that. Welcome to Faith Unfiltered.
That's right. Welcome.
I'm Drew.
I'm Zach, and first of all, watching the Chiefs game there's definitely way more better things to do with your time, especially as Cowboys fans. You know what I'm saying?
You're hardly a Cowboys fan.
Yep, I'm a Cowboys fan. And
name 4 players.
Dak Prescott.
On their current roster.
Oh, you are going to...
Dak Prescott, Zach Thomas, middle linebacker, number 54, this year, 2027. And
calling you up, Jerry
Tony
Jones?
Romo came back after his recent issues that he had, and so now he is going to be back on the roster.
Is he?
Yep.
He's on the
Fifth
depth
string water boy.
Good.
So,
okay, well, that pretty much proved the point that you are not a big Cowboys fan. He only named Dak Prescott, which...
Yeah, Dak Prescott, Mona Lisa, the right tackle.
Now he's just naming mid-century paintings. All right.
Wow.
What's your name over there?
I'm Robert.
Hi, Robert.
And that was the worst defense of your favorite team I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yep.
I know. I'm just good at letting you down, Robert.
So on Sunday, preached about rest. Pretty challenging sermon, Robert. Thought you handled it pretty well. But just kind of stuff that we don't really preach on, or at least hear about. So, what are let's start with this question. What are some common myths when it comes to rest?
I think the biggest one I discovered in my study of it is that it's a lack of activity. When we think of rest, we think of taking a nap or going to bed or doing nothing. And when you read the Old Testament and the New Testament, you don't ever get that. It never talks about doing nothing as the Lord's day of rest. It actually just talks about, doing the right things and not doing the wrong things. And so it is no activity in the sense that I'm not plowing my field, I'm not harvesting my crops, I'm not, collecting manna if it's that period of the Old Testament. I'm not going to work on that day in our society. But there are other things that you do. I quoted Isaiah 58 with taking care of other people, noticing, if someone's car's broke down on the side of the road. Sabbath rest would be stopping and helping them.
Mm-hmm.
It's finding people who are in need and doing something for them. It's our attention directed to the Lord. So worship on Sunday mornings, being reminded of our need of Him, being reminded that, our life is sustained by Him. And so the reason for not working isn't because there's something wrong with working. It's to remind us that all of my working will never get me what I really need, which God ultimately has. So it's just reminding me of that dependence.
Yeah. It's not that we don't think to serve others and be mission-minded throughout the other days of the week. I think it's just sometimes we think that rest in its way of napping or doing what you want to do is why we opened with that Chiefs question of like, all right.
We didn't answer it, though.
We didn't answer it.
We're about to.
Okay.
Oh,
that's kind of,
shoot.
Did you want to? I mean, you started before the podcast saying you wouldn't answer it.
No, because I want you to have all the Chiefs fans mad at you.
Okay,
and not
good.
Me.
Yeah. I'm a Rams fan, so yeah.
Still an old Missouri team, so.
Yes, I'm loyal. Very loyal. Okay, so where was I at? Okay, it's not that we don't want to serve on the other days of the week, right? But rest, we sometimes think, all right, what does rest mean for me, and to look at it in a biblical way. And so, like, if it were up to me, and just Drew in his flesh and in his own mind, what he wants to do is to go to church and watch football
all day.
Amen.
Because you're not just talking about watching one game.
Oh no, you got a slot at noon. All right, then you got games starting at 3:30. Praise God.
6.
And you got games starting at 6 is a little bit of break. You get to actually see your kids for 45 minutes or so, and then you're going to have a game at 7:15.
It sounds like torture.
Mm-hmm. Now and listen,
Oh my gosh.
sometimes at the beginning of the season, they have a nice little West Coast game starting at like 9:30 p.m. And now we are really planted the cheeks, all right, on the couch and watching some football. And so I think for a lot of us, we would, if we had that kind of day where we watched football, went to church, we would count that as a Sabbath rest. But you're kind of speaking against that. Is that correct?
Kind of. So
Kind of.
like my answer to that question would be, could you go to church and then go home and watch sports as like rest? Like I'm getting enjoyment out of this. I'm enjoying something that is, I think, yes. I think for most people, because I don't know that we want to be legalistic about it.
Right.
Like if you were to go to Israel, their Sabbath is still very legalistic. You can only go so many miles in a day. You can only walk so many steps, all these kinds of things. And so I don't know that we want to be legalistic about it, but you could ask yourself the question of, okay, so when I go home and I watch that game, and I think this is probably going to get most of our people that watch games, is do I ignore my wife while I'm doing that? Am I a little more passive-aggressive with my kids because they're annoying me? Like some of those things could lead you to realize that, oh, I'm not doing this. This really is just about me. Like everyone get away from me. Stop talking to me. Stop making noise. Or I go into a room by myself where no one else is. And so I would say, I'm not saying that can't be Sabbath rest, but I'm saying you probably need to ask yourself some questions. And if your answer is, well, yeah, I don't want my wife to bother me while I'm watching these games all day. Or, yeah, it does annoy me when my kids are making too much noise and I can't hear Tony Romo announcing the game.
Yeah, well,
Or
he won't
Tom
be
Brady.
announcing for
He
a while.
won't be announcing for a while. Yeah.
Is he done?
Yeah.
He got arrested for a DUI.
He did.
Oh, that'll do it. Well,
You-
Tom Brady.
Now we are
sometimes
sports news crew.
I have to fill in Robert on the news events of the world sometimes because he doesn't pay attention to stuff, which is, probably just tells you about his work ethic. He works a lot and does a good job, and
he rests a lot.
And
He rests a lot.
yeah, so I have to fill you in
Tom
on
Brady. When Tom Brady is doing the announcements.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's good. I think there's in my mind, it can easily become legalistic for me when I am thinking, even hearing you say that, like I'm thinking, oh, there must be like the correct way to Sabbath. Like there must be a one size fits all. Like, what are you asking me to do? But what I'm hearing you say is it's really more about the heart behind it.
Yeah.
Not exactly what you do, but why you're doing it, and to be looking vertical while you're enjoying the things on this earth.
Yeah. So I think the phrase I used was it's Mark chapter 2. Man was not created for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was created for man. So you might think of it as the Sabbath is for man, but it's not about man. And I think where we go wrong is it's for us, therefore I'll make it about me. And I think that's where we mess the Sabbath up. So then we want to go like all these rules, and you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like, no, it's really just like, is what you're doing directing your attention to God? And if it's not, and that's your consistent activity every Sunday, I'm not saying every once in a while something happens on a Sunday that is just about you. That might be okay. But if every single Sunday, if you're like, well, it's football season, so for the next 7 months, every Sunday is about me. And I'm watching it from the time I get off from church till the time I go to bed, and I don't want my wife to talk to me, or if she does, we can stop for dinner during that hour and 15-minute break or whatever. But then that's where I think we get kind of sideways on it.
Or you got hunting season coming up.
Yep.
Where you got golf. So this is hard. I just need to be honest. Soon the Holy Spirit was kicking me in the face this week in the sermon.
In the face?
I'll be serious because it is one of those things where like when you feel worn out, and you have people around you tell you, you know, you just need a rest. You need to slow down. You need a rest. Most of the time that's implying that you should go do something for yourself, that you should go isolate yourself on the golf course and don't think about anything else. Go sleep for 3 days. You know what I mean? And I've never once done those things and felt satisfied and restful. And there's a reason for that.
There's a reason the phrase, I need a vacation from the vacation I just took.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially a vacation with kids is just an away game. It's the worst. Like, you know.
You don't come back rested.
No, it's a trip. It ain't a vacation. So, yeah, you have this idea that this rest being away from a normal routine or taking a break from work, whatever, will bring you rest. But you said something on Sunday that really stuck with me of if your rest doesn't involve Jesus, it will never bring you true rest or something like that. I wrote on my phone. My phone's dead. So I have my phone is taking a rest right now, and it's charging up.
Your phone is always
so
dead.
I probably butchered that line.
Yeah.
So.
I said, if you've not found your rest in Christ, then you won't find it anywhere else either.
Yeah. So I think that's good to even think about, even on your Sabbath day or even rest throughout the week as you're taking, like, what does it look like for you to find rest in the Lord? I mean, it's really easy to think of it from a worldly lens and be like, all right, I'm pretty stressed out. Got a lot going on. Let's throw on a podcast. But that, you know, the podcast is more about movies or culture or sports or whatever, and it's doesn't have any angle of gospel centeredness or Jesus or how he brings us rest. And you kind of come out of that podcast and you're like, well, back to the old grind, you know, and it doesn't exactly, it was a break. It wasn't rest. And I think those are two different things.
And it actually, that just further busies up your chaotic life, right? Robert was talking in on knowing someone, like everybody knows someone who is so busy all the time, but yet they're really not doing anything. But when you get in that cycle of just like, okay, I look at my calendar and I have all this stuff and it feels overwhelming and I feel like I'm running every which way and I feel like I can't find rest in anything that I'm doing. It's like, man, you just need time with Jesus. Like, in that whole week of busy schedule, when did you ever commune with the Lord? When did you ever spend time in his word? When did you ever do this or that? And I'm guilty of the same things on weeks where I'm so busy and I feel like the tank is on E. It's like, well, I skipped time in the word on Tuesday through Thursday, you know?
Is that why you were crabby last week on Wednesday?
Was I crabby
I'm
on
just
Wednesday?
joking.
I think it was Monday, actually.
Most Mondays. Let's be honest here.
And it's because I got too much sleep. It was not biblical rest.
No. Yeah, you slept too much. Yeah. Didn't get much
Started
rest at all.
waking up like a bear coming out of hibernation.
Yeah. Robert, what's your ideal Sabbath? Like if you could set a time on Sunday, if you're are you counting Sunday as your Sabbath? I know a lot of pastors kind of think differently through that.
Yeah. I think kind of Old Testament when it comes to Sabbathing for me.
Okay.
Like the priests, their Sabbath was the service they were doing for God's community. And so I don't do any home projects. I'm not doing anything in that regard. And so most of my Sundays are Sunday, my day starts at like 3:30, 3:45 in the morning. 3 services. Usually I'll go home, eat lunch with my family, take maybe like an hour break or so. And then I'm doing an elder training or I'm doing a DMG or I'm taking my kids to student ministry or whatever. And so some kind of ministry for me happens pretty much until about 8 o'clock at night, 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, and that doesn't wear me out. Like I don't feel, like that's the thing. Like I could sleep all day Saturday and just feel like junk. Like,
yeah.
But I can do that all day Sunday and then I'm here Monday morning at the same time up at, 5:30 in the morning and I don't feel worn out from that. I don't feel tired from that. And so for me, that's my kind of sabbatical rhythm. Is Sundays is the day that I'm only going to do church related ministry.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of that Old Testament, like what Jesus said. Don't you guys realize that the priests break the Sabbath every Sabbath, every Sabbath. And so do we.
Yeah.
No way around it.
I was thinking about this too when you were talking about that. A lot of times on Sunday, if you see me on Sunday, especially like Sunday afternoon, I look really tired. But I don't necessarily I feel very like just relaxed. And I think a lot of that is the work put into what is going in on Sunday morning and youth group on Sunday night. All of that work is happening throughout the week. And I get to now step back on Sunday morning and Sunday night and just get to fellowship with brothers and sisters, get to open up God's word, hear it preached, get to worship alongside all these people. So I'm getting to take a step back and go, okay, our whole 6 days of work, and now we get to fellowship.
Yeah.
And we get to Sabbath. I think.
Now to go with your question, I don't count it as my Sabbath day. Now this is where some pastors will say, well, Robert, I think this is your Sabbath day. It's really not, because it's really focused on me. On Saturdays, I only do family stuff. So I schedule nothing for anyone. Very rarely. Like Hannah will tell you. Like we don't do stuff. we're not having people over to the house. I'm not going somewhere else. I don't do dinners on Saturday nights. I don't stay up late. Of course, I'm up early on Sunday morning.
You don't stay up late.
Period.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
I called you at like 8:30 last week. You were in bed.
Yep.
Oh, he answered my call.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Well,
his was like 8:40 though.
yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, yours was before. And so Saturday is like my physical day. And I think a lot of people, this is where they get Sabbath rest kind of. We always tend to think in the physical.
Yes.
I need more sleep. I need a break from my kids. I feel physically spent. I feel like I don't have anything. My argument in the introduction of the sermon was, I think most people have all the time they need to get the physical rest they want. They're just spending it on they're burning it in places.
Mm-hmm.
My illustration was social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I would venture to bet most people who are not getting enough sleep, if they would put their phone in the kitchen and plug it in when they go to bed, they just gained an hour.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go
4.
lay in their bed and watch
Yeah.
their phone for an hour and a half.
It's a problem.
And then they're going to whine because they're tired the next day. And they're like, well, I only got 5.5 hours sleep. Well, you laid in your bed for 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
The best way to not, be on your phone is just to
it
have
would
it
be dead all the
just
time.
have it dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
That's
not
my-
to plug it in.
That is a.
It's
that
kind of
is
a hack.
problem of mine. So
And then here's what we do.
yeah.
So we run this rat race of 5.5 hours of sleep a night. We're like, I just don't have enough time. I'm so busy and I've got all these things. And I'm not taking away. People are busy. I get it. I'm busy. I'm not taking away from that. But what I think is unspiritual is when I'm not willing to reduce my phone time by an hour and a half so I can get that extra hour and a half of sleep. But then I want to steal it from the Lord on Sunday.
Shoot.
So
Steal is a big word.
it's what you're doing. Because then here's the mentality. I get to Sunday and I'm like, man, I'm just burned out. I don't have the energy. I can't go serve that way in that ministry. I can't go do those things. I can't be here. I'm sitting at home all day watching football because, man, I've worked 6 days hard and I've not got enough sleep and I'm catching up on Sundays. And it's like, well, you had time during the week where you could have got the rest that you needed. God's built in a mechanism to physically rejuvenate us, and that is sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if we're not careful, we'll rob God of the Sabbath time that's supposed to be a spiritual rest, which is not inactivity always, because we have done what we want to do during the week and exhausted ourselves not getting physical rest.
Yeah.
And then we come into the Sabbath and we just view it as physical rest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we go wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of a new rhythm for us to not really on purpose. It's not like Liz and I sat down and was like, we need to, do more discipleship on Sundays. Just it kind of ended up this way, so I can speak from how we're feeling lately. After church, Liz has a discipleship group that she does right after church. They meet in the green room, actually. This Sunday they didn't, but they do a discipleship group, a DMG, and then she comes home, and we're home for a little bit, and then I go out and disciple, hang out with the interns most Sundays. Mm-hmm. And then so that's kind of a discipleship rhythm for us. It's what it happens to be something that we're passionate about. But we come home for that, and what used to happen on Sunday mornings, we'd come home and we'd just be tired. But now, because we have something to do and something that's meaningful, I think that's kind of the meaningful for the Lord. Like, we investing in other people is what is kind of making us go and gives us a little bit of strength. And what used to happen was, we come home and want to take a nap. Now, when we come home after I'm done discipling, we want to go play pickleball. Like, we want to go and be with other people. At pickleball, when I was there Sunday, we, invited people to church and, got to play with other people. We didn't just play with our group, found other people to play with, be a little bit more missional in that way. So I'm looking at that and I'm learning of like what physical rest will do and what spiritual rest will do. And you kind of want physical rest to do the job, but you wake up groggy and crabby, and your kids are a mess. And Saturday, like you said, kind of does a lot of that for you, unless you got a crazy busy day with sports schedules and all that stuff. But I mean, all that's preventable. Yes. That's the hard part. Is like the busy Saturday of sports schedules and all the stuff and all the things. You can say no to those things.
Yeah, and I'm convinced even if you're saying yes to all those things, you could still find not everyone. So if you're an exception to this rule, okay, but most people have the time in their schedule to get the rest that they need, even if all their kids are in sports. Because we're picking something else. We're so self-gratification centered that in the moment I'll make the decision to do something that I want to do, like watch this movie or browse this YouTube channel or scroll through these whatever those things are called, reels on Facebook.
Oh gosh.
Or my TikTok or whatever it is. And so I'll choose to do that for an hour and a half when I could have just went to bed. I could have just went to sleep. Could have put my phone down, went to sleep, and then I'd have the rest that I need and be more productive at the things I'm wanting to be productive at, because that didn't do anything for you.
So what I'm hearing you say is that your Sabbath and your discipline are closely aligned.
Yes.
So when your discipline is low, your Sabbath rest is going to be low.
Yes. I think when you're not self-disciplined during the week, then it will cause you to maybe compromise on what you do on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what about the people who are doing, so they're going to the gym to find rest, like their workout time, I don't understand these people. Like, it's not
restful for us,
it's not me. But like some
Monday.
people are, they're going to the gym to get away from work. It's a restful thing, right? How would you tell them to kind of adjust that or keep it the same, or how do they make that God honoring in a biblical way, make that rest more efficient for them?
So I actually got asked that question Sunday after church. A guy that worked 6 days a week came up, said, "Hey, Sunday is my only day off. I work all 6 of the other days. And so one of the things I like to do on Sunday, just to kind of go clear my head and things, is I like to go to the gym." Is that breaking the Sabbath? And I was like, well, I think you can do that in a way that still honors the Sabbath. And so I said, so if you go to the gym, maybe you could just be more cognizant of the people that are around you while you're there. Like, we go to the gym, and there's like 15 people that go to our church now that didn't go to our church when we started going to the gym. So am I going to the gym because I love going to the gym? Yes. Do I love lifting? I love lifting. Does it do something for me personally? Yes. But in order for me to honor the Lord, it also has to be a space where I'm going to do something for him. And so I told him, I said, so maybe that means that, you're working out and you notice that there's, an older individual, a senior that's on the bike, riding the bike. And so you go over and you talk to him. I said, you'll find that some of those people that are going to the gym, especially the seniors, like, they're there, one, because they want to work out, but two, because it's some of the only social interaction they get all week. Mm-hmm. And so you may have just made their day by just going over and asking how they're doing and how's your week going? What do you got planned this next week? And just giving them someone to talk to. And so now I would argue you've done part of what the Sabbath is, which is you've intentionally looked out at other people. You've taken the attention off yourself and put it on to others. So I would say that is just, I think that's how you can make it not be legalistic. Well, here, let me make a list of all the things I can't do. Well, no, let me make a list of all the things that you need to do while you're doing whatever that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Draw attention to the Lord, draw attention to others, get it off of me. And then you can.
The idea of rest is not to stay at home and not see anybody.
Correct.
I mean, how do you think Jesus rested?
I guess maybe if you wanted to look at the times that he's like, let me go up on the mountain by myself with the Father. Now he's directing his attention to God.
Yeah.
And so.
But in those moments, I mean, we see some moments of the
But he's
Lord's
healing people on the Sabbath.
He's healing, but even the moments where he retreats, he's not exactly napping. I mean, he's probably praying, communing with the Father in that way. I mean, we see.
It's very intentional.
Yeah, we see some of that, and even the Garden of Gethsemane, and we get kind of a peek of what rest looked like for.
Yeah, he put a lot of steps
Jesus.
in on Sundays
Mm-hmm.
or Saturdays during the Old Testament Sabbath that he would have been under. But I mean, he's healing people. He's teaching in homes. He's getting into disputes with Pharisees. He's having conversations with his disciples. And so it doesn't look like to me that on the Sabbath, Jesus is doing a whole lot of just staying in a house.
Yeah.
Mm.
What's interesting is you have what the world tells you will bring you rest, and it's almost like what the Lord says will bring you rest is the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Psychology in the world is you're tired, take a nap. You're tired, go reset. Go.
Get your nails done.
Sure. Yeah. Is that what you're doing?
Go buy a brand new kayak.
Is Chuck
for the
Thomas doing some mani pedis?
Go buy some new golf clubs.
And you're not waking up. You're not making up for a week's lack of rest in one day of sleep. That's not how our bodies work.
Yeah.
Even if you just look at the science of a nap, they say that 15 minutes. If you can fall asleep and set an alarm for 15 minutes, that you will feel significantly more rested from that 15 than if you let yourself sleep for 30 or more.
That's just the intro of his sermons. Feels good every Sunday.
Yeah. Get you woke up.
I'm usually awake for the first point, so I feel real good after the intro.
I like that.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, well, it's fine because I don't want someone to hear this and be so they feel condemned because they haven't rested in the right way. But I do want people to kind of think, how can I adjust, or what's not working? How do I do this in a biblical way? Because some people are resting in a worldly way and they may not know it, and so they might feel shame for how they've spent time on YouTube or Netflix or whatever, and it's pushing forward. It's just kind of part of growing. It's where everybody's at in their journey, and I'm learning it. We're all learning it.
Are you asking that for both of us?
No.
We're YouTube junkies.
I do love YouTube.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
I gave them 3 things that they could identify in their life. Something unfinished. So what's something that going into Sunday is not finished? A house project or a work project or a school project, whatever it might be. What's something that's unfinished? Leave it unfinished.
Yeah.
That's a good Sabbath. I'm not doing things today that fulfill my needs. I'm trusting that the Lord is my provider. What you use that you actually turn to your wife on Sunday?
No, well, I don't know if you meant to do this. Did you mean to do this? But when you said something unfinished, if you have a project home, you started to say that. And then Liz looked at me because I have a lot of projects unfinished. And I think we both thought that you were going to go in the direction of finish that so that you can rest. And so we kind of looked at each other, and she kind of laughed at me. And then you kind of nailed the point home of don't finish it. And I looked at her, I was like, yes. Yeah.
Every man in the worship center was very happy they didn't have to go home and finish a project.
I didn't know if you meant to set people up like that.
I did not.
Yeah, but it was
you're not the only one that told me that either.
A plus B equals fish kind of thing. It was whoa. So
yeah, so leave it unfinished. It's a sign of I'm depending on what God provides today. And so that was the Old Testament. It was you're not harvesting crops that day. They had a whole lot of stuff that wasn't wasn't finished that they needed. But they didn't do it that day because they're trusting that God's going to give them what they need. Something you're worried about. What is something that you wake up that just is on your mind 24/7? To Sabbath well is to rest in God's, providing. And so I'm not worrying about this today. We shouldn't worry at all, but especially today on the Sabbath, I'm going to do my best to say, all right, Lord, I'm pushing this out of my mind.
And sometimes when you worry about something, the resting in that is action. Does that make sense? Like, so when you say that, someone might think, all right, so I just got to sit here and not think about it. No, like, give it to the Lord, journal, read, do something that kind of takes your mind off that so that you can focus on the Lord. It's intentional. Like, I'm going to lay that aside.
Get
and so to do that, this consuming thing, like, what I'm going to do is actually, make a meal with my family, and we're going to spend intentional time. We're going to do something together. It's not always sitting on the couch and okay, now
that actually might make it worse if it's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just don't think about it. It's like the worst way to stop thinking about something.
Which in that context, then, if you're like, hey, how in the world am I going to not worry about this? Well, for you, that may mean going for a run.
Yeah.
Like, that may be the thing that takes your mind off it. It may be going to the gym.
Or Chuck for kayaking.
It may be going kayaking.
Yeah. He's big into kayaking.
No.
And so it may be that, okay, I need to go get my body moving so that I can calm my mind down. Spurgeon said physical activity is the fastest way to calm the mind.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one was something you cannot control. And so I use the example, maybe you've got a health issue that you're waiting on a test result for. Checking your portal all day Sunday, they're not updating the portal on Sunday.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
So leave it. Leave it alone. Trust the Lord's got it.
You probably forgot your password anyways. It's going to stress you out.
Yeah, if your phone's dead, you drew. So
heck yes.
Now I'm going to try and find a charger and 10,000 other things.
Forgetting the password, man.
And then I would just add these two things to it. You may be someone that you don't necessarily need to change what you're doing on Sunday as much as you need to change the manner of how you think while you're doing those things.
Right.
And so I'll just add two questions for you. One, how can I keep doing this thing that I'm doing but be more cognizant of the Lord?
Right.
So how can I direct my attention to him doing this thing? And then secondly, how can I be more aware of the people around me so that I might assist or help or pray for or do something that would take the attention off of me and put it on to others? Because part of the Sabbath was kind of God's people being reminded that we're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no better than anyone else. No one else is any better than I am. It kind of leveled the rich and the poor to the same level. The poor had to go out in the field and gather the grain the same as everyone else in that seventh year of Sabbath. And so when they couldn't collect the crops, their slaves couldn't work, their sojourners couldn't work. Well, if you're a rich person who, for the other 6 years, your slaves are gathering crops for you every day, you're not gathering crops out of the field. Well, in that seventh year, the rich guy's out in the field the same as the poor guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a reminder that under the Lord, we are equally in need of him, no matter what the social status is. And so when you're Sabbathing well, it means that you're thinking of others, loving them as you want to be loved. It really aligns the two great commandments.
Mm-hmm.
Love God, love others.
Mm-hmm.
Sabbath well.
Okay. Why do you think God rested on the seventh day?
Because what he had done was sufficient. I think it really was a picture of, God even could trust in his own work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now we're supposed to trust in his work as though it's sufficient for us. And the picture is God on the seventh day rested. Well, the only way he could rest it is if what he had done the first 6 days was sufficient for him to trust it for the seventh day.
Mm-hmm.
So even in some weird, I don't know if I can explain that theologically, but practically that's the only way I can make sense of God worked 6 days and rested on the seventh. Therefore, we work 6 days and rest on the seventh. But we're not trusting in our work from the previous 6 days, but God is.
Mm-hmm.
So our trust comes in that his rest was a picture that his creation was sufficient, his work was sufficient. And so now we're trusting that that's still true. And so I don't need to work either because God will still provide for me the same.
Mm.
What do you think God was doing on the seventh day?
Communing with the other two parts of the Trinity.
Playing golf.
and looking at his creation.
New golf
Could
course.
you imagine a heavenly golf course? Like, all right, hole 1 is Pluto.
Augusta. It's going to be in heaven.
It's Pluto.
So
Not even a planet anymore, Pluto. So
Yeah, I think he was delighting in the glory of his creation. Like, it wasn't broken yet. We hadn't messed it up.
he wasn't worried that he created something that he was waiting to create something or anything like that. He was truly resting.
Yeah.
I did like how you added at the end. Sometimes I do think that oftentimes we probably don't need to change necessarily what we're doing entirely, but we're changing our heart posture and how we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, if you mow the grass on Sunday afternoons, how can you make that more glorifying to the Lord?
Yeah, walk over to your neighbor and ask if you can mow his too.
Right.
Like that. I'm not saying that with sarcasm. I'm saying that really.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
you're shoveling your snow on Sunday, walk over to your neighbor and see if you can shovel their driveway too.
Yeah.
There's ways that you can go.
Like,
okay,
thank
let me
you
make
for
this not about me.
Thank you for providing this mower.
Mm.
Thank you for the sense of smell I have to smell the grass I just cut. Like, being hyper intentional about going, I'm going to give all of this to the Lord.
Yeah.
In gratitude.
That's right. All right. Good talk today, boys. Appreciate it. Anything else?
Nope. See you next week.
Okay. See you next
See ya.
week. Thanks, guys, for joining.